Rich with Rich Baum Photography, Sacramento, California. I'm trying a new little feature on my YouTube channel, and I am taking people's photographs and I'm going to go through them, edit them, and talk about them in my opinion, which is always only means whatever it means. But basically, you send me 2 to 3 images, which you can see here. Rebecca Skilling has sent me her flash shot, her ambient shot, and this is my edited photo, put it together. And they'll all differ. Like here's her ambient shot her flash shot for this image, and here's her ambient shot, and now here is her version. And here is my version right there. So anyway, I'm going to start with this image, and it's important to send me the raw photos in a Dropbox to rich@richbaum.com. Anyway, I'll get those and hopefully get to it. But I'm going to start now with the flash shot, and this is straight out of camera. So I'm sorry, I moved it to the next picture. So let's go into the develop module and let's look at what we have here. Well, we have ISO 100, 22 millimeters, f10, and 1/60th of a second. And I just want to comment on the settings for the flash shot. I would really go a little higher up on the ISO, especially if you have a decent camera that handles ISO, but I would bring it up to about 320 to 400 because it will give us a lot more power with our flash. And as you can see in this shot, I would call this a little underexposed, and what we're going to do when we play with it is bring it up in exposure to where I think it should be. And we're going to see how much underexposed it is, because I want everybody to try and send me a picture that is really well exposed. And also, if you send it, make sure that you send it raw and make sure that you send it unedited, because I want to do the editing in front of everybody. Okay, so I would have gone to about 320 ISO. I would have gone to f7.1, where f7.1 in general with a wide angle lens is going to keep everything in focus, or you can go f8. And the 1/60th of a second I can't comment on because it's probably, I would have gone a little, maybe a little slower in this or a little more light, because you don't really need to go 1/60th of a second here. But she is exposing for these windows, although the windows are a little dark. But when we brighten it up, it'll brighten up. Now, so let's go to the ambient shot right here. And let's look at this. So we have the same ISO 100, 22 millimeters, f10, which we always have to keep it on the same aperture, and 1/5 of a second. So this looks pretty good exposure. So I'm not going to really change much on here. So let me go back to the flash shot, and I'm going to first get a baseline by giving it my full bump, or my special sauce down here. Z, again, I put it Z so it will go at the very end, so I know where all my presets I always use go. So I click on that, and you can see what it did. It just pushed the sliders, and I'm going to now bring it up in exposure where I think I would like it. Okay, that looks about good to me. So I am almost a full stop up, and this is showing a little bright on the histogram, but you know what? I'm going to choose to make it this. Now, let's look at a few issues on this photograph now that we've lightened it up. We have it a little dark in here, but I think that if I go back and forth between the ambient shot will fill in some brightness down this hallway. That's going to be fine. The other thing, too, is here we see these shadows. Okay, that's about the main issue. We can also see shadows up here from these the cable coming down, and we also see shadows up here, which really and shadow on the wall. So those are the main issues, and that is probably coming because you can sort of see here her light is bouncing off the ceiling, right about near camera. But you're seeing a little bit of that light bouncing off the ceiling, which is okay because the ambient can clean all that up. But the thing is, I would say that she's probably pointing her flash a little bit forward. So it's bouncing off the ceiling and then coming down in a forward progression, forward angle, and it is making a flash shadow here off these lights. So I would recommend, at least in the method that I'm using here, because we're masking an ambient, I would recommend to point the flash straight up and avoid going forward or backwards, just straight up. And once you've got the ambient coming in, you can mask back some shadows and make it look a little more logical shadows and light direction. But for now, I'm going to fix this with the ambient shot here. Okay, so right here, everything looks good. The color looks good. Exposure looks pretty good. I'm going to actually bring it up right to one stop over. Okay, there we go. So I've got one stop over and I'm going to keep it there. Now the next thing we're going to do is go to the ambient shot. And one thing I'm concerned about is the color. You can see here that the color here is kind of cool, actually. Maybe I'm going to, let me try something. Let me warm it up just a tad. Okay. And I'm going to try and match this. So the first thing I want to do with the ambient shot is I'm just going to take out the highlights because I don't think we need that. And you can see what that did. Look at the lights here. Just taking out the highlights kind of brought back the definition in the lights. So I like that aspect. Now I'm going to go with the white balance eyedropper tool. And I'm going to go here, click it. And I'm just going to go bring it on a piece of white. I'm going to see what happens. And I don't really like that. That kind of made it really pink. So let me bring this to 0. Nope, now it's green. So I'm going to go back and bring it back to where we were. Hold on a second. Let me go backwards. Why isn't it letting me do that? Actually, I'm going to reset it. Go back to reset. Okay, I'm going to just bring down I'm going to make it a little blue, a little cooler, take out the warmth on it, and that actually helped a little bit. And I'm going to go between my flash shot and my ambient shot, where it's a little bit different color, but we can deal with that. Now I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to bring down my blue saturation. And you'll see what happened there. As you can see, this is blue because we made it blue a little. We brought back the blue and we're getting a little more of that sunlight blue coolness. I'm going to now take out the blue and there we go. Okay, so let's compare between the ambient and the flash. That's really our goal. We want to just make it as close as possible. And I think that's good. I'm going to just increase the exposure of the ambient about 1/3 of a stop. Okay, great. Now, looks good. So let's highlight both of these. Right click. Come on, right click. Edit in. Open as layers in Photoshop. So I hope I've explained everything in my process coming into this. And this is kind of good for me because I didn't shoot this photos, so I'm really looking at all the things that I wouldn't really be looking at if I shot it because I already know the photo. So let's wait till this opens up. And I'm taking a nice little sip of coffee this morning. It's about 8 a.m. in California. It's a beautiful sunny day. And yes, we have received a lot of rain and a lot of snow. We got about 15 feet of snow in 4 days, I think, 4 or 5 days. Unfortunately, had a few people killed up at the ski patrolman at Squaw died, so I'm going skiing as soon as it stabilizes, but we'll cross our fingers and hope it gets a little more safe. Okay, so, and I'm also going to comment that this is a really nice shot. It's not too wide. It's 22 millimeters. it's a good height. It's, you know, it's just a nice shot. And I would say maybe it could be a little higher, and a tilt shift would go really nice in this shot. But I think this one is fine. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put my ambient layer on top of my flash layer, and I'm going to highlight both layers. Then I'm going to go over here into edit, and I'm going to do auto align layers, because she is not using a heavy duty tripod in my opinion, because all these shots need to be aligned. Whereas on my heavy duty Manfrotto 3046, I never have to align shots. So, and I also use a cam ranger, so I'm really not touching my camera much. But you can see here, if we zoom in, that we did need to align the layers, because up here you see this little checkered line here. That just means that there was misalignment. So I'm glad I did that. And now let's go make it the right size again. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to just click on the ambient layer, the top one, and I'm going to make a layer mask, a new layer mask. So what I want to do is click right there, down on the right, and hold down Command on a Mac. Ready? Add, oops, vector mask. I don't want to add a vector mask. Add a layer mask. Okay, 1, 2, 3, hold down Command, go. What is going on? Hold on a second. Let me go backwards. Okay, let me do again. Add a layer mask. Hold down. Oh, I'm sorry. Holding down Option. Never mind. Oh, some days I have brain aneurysms temporarily, but I'm back. Okay. Anyway, remember that. I'm just going to go back that whole thing again. Let's go highlight both layers. Let's go into Edit, into Align Layers. Let's go into here, Auto Align. Okay. Does its thing. So just forget about that last little 20 seconds. Okay, we got this here. So now I'm going to click on the ambient layer. I'm going to click on Add a Layer Mask and Option. There we go. Okay, so I've got my masking layer on top, and what I'm going to do is, as always, click Paintbrush, and I'm going to make it a soft, nice soft brush. I'm going to do about 20% hardness. You can do, you know, you can play around with what works for you. Click Return, Enter, and right now, and then I'm going to go Flow 6%. So let's take this by, ooh, my voice is going this morning. Let's take this by sections. But I want to leave this a little bit open because we're going to be masking in the color. First, we're going to do just a regular normal mode of masking, and I'm going to see if I can get rid of several things. Look at, we're going to get rid of these shadows. We're going to get rid of this glare from the flash. We got it all over the fridge, which is a really great way of masking in ambient to deal with stainless steel. We're going to mask out this shadow, this shadow and this flare on the wall. We've got a little flare over here and another shadow. Remember, we've got shadows up here. We've got shadows there. We've got shadows, oops, let me move this here. We got shadows there, and we got a little bit of glare here. And we're going to see what we can do here to make this a little more natural looking. And we're going to, last but not least, add in exposure down this hallway. Okay, so I'm just going to go here, and let's go nice big brush, 6% flow, and look at that. Okay. Now we're getting a little bit of yellow. So the ambient shot is a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to go backwards. And I'm going to try now, go over here to normal and then click down to luminosity mode. Let's see how that works. There we go. So the key to this shot was luminosity mask. Okay, so let's go here, taking out those shines. Let's go here, taking out those shines. Okay, I'm going to go here. And actually, I'm going to go a little bit over these greens here because I think the greens are a little too dark in my opinion. Okay, we're going to go over to here. Oops, let's go move it over to, let me move in a little bit. Over to here. And we're just going to Bring it down here. Get rid of. Okay, I'm going to enlarge this a little bit, so make it more blend in. Okay, bring it down a little here, there. Okay, and we're going to go, let's see how it works in these chairs right here. Look at that, it's actually helping a lot with those shadows. I'm not going overboard. You know, a lot of what I do is very subtle. And you can do as little or as much. Now, I did get a message from Rebecca that she likes her shots very, very light and poppy and a lot of flash. So, you know what? If that's your thing, absolutely. But all I do is I just edit the way I would edit mine. Oh, let me go here and white. Click. Remember, I erased a little bit. So I'm now going to paint in the ambient. And I'm going to exit and make it black here and take this out here. Okay, I like that better. Now I'm going to go just here. I'm going to go back X and I'm painting. See, X makes it go black, white, black, white. White is painting in, so I'm going to paint in a little exposure here. Okay. Okay, now one thing I'm going to do up here. I just want to make sure you see what I'm doing up here. I'm going to paint out that shadow. So I'm just painting in the ambient. And I'm going to paint it in here too so we don't see the flash so much. There we go. Okay. Let's look at this. Let's examine this. And let's go down to the fridge. Looks good. A little bit of shine here, but you know, I don't really mind the shine right here, but we can get rid of it. There we go. Yeah, you know what, as I always say, let's go in here. I'm going to see if we can get rid of some shadows here. They're not really bad, but you know what, you can take care of it. Get rid of those shadows in there. There we go. So this tools, if anything, really helps you if you have shadow problems, you're learning and whatever. And you know what? I think that it can help a lot of things. Let's just make this a little... And I go in and out of the photo continuously. Let's go here and just make a nice ambient down this. Make it a little less shadowy, a little less harsh, in my opinion. Okay, and the window is, in my opinion, a little dark. I'm taking 2 passes at 6%. And actually, I'm going to go X out here because I'm going to erase. See, it's going to black. I'm just going to go back a little bit on here. There we go. A little bit back. There we go. Okay. So there you have it. Okay. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to go Command SW. Okay, and it's going to save it and bring it back into Lightroom here. And now we're going to go on to the next image. Okay, we're going to do 3 images. I think that might be the rule. Here comes that final image. So here is my, wait, where is it? Here it is, final image. And we could do a few things to fix it up even more. We could probably straighten it up a little bit. We got a little bit of alignment issues here, so I'm going to go down to Auto Align, which is really, really auto transform, okay? Right here, auto right there. Look what it does. There you go. Did it automatically. Now I can also do one little thing I do sometimes. It's called my final bump. It just adds, look at my settings here. It's called final bump. Above the full bump, just adds a little bit of pop to it, little contrast. And I'm going to go back again because I took out the auto align. I'm going to go auto align back, and there we have it. So I'm very happy with this image, and we're going to go on to the next image. Okay, so now we have a flash shot and we have an ambient shot. So what I want to do is really start with the ambient shot. I'm just going to take out Oh, you know what? I'm going to go to reset. Okay. This is the ambient shot out of camera. Now, I will say, Ashley, it's kind of underexposed, although it appears pretty good on the histogram. But you know what? Sometimes you have to go and just override the histogram. So what I'm going to do is two things. I'm going to just take out the highlights here. Didn't do much, but I'm now going to raise up the exposure. I want to expose for this area. So I'm just going to raise up the exposure. What are we doing? We're about a stop under again. And you know what? It's okay to be a stop under because we can fix that. But it would be great to have when you do it in your camera, and it really helps to have a cam ranger or be able to tether from an iPad, because you will see the exposure a lot better than on your screen. So anyway, we have here what I would look at, and I've got a calibrated monitor. I'd look at to say this is great for here. Now what I want to do is also bring in, I'm going to go down to the dehaze, because this is I'm just going to play with a little bit of dehaze here. I've been experimenting with that on ambient shots and all kinds of shots. So I'm going to add in a little bit of dehaze. Let's see what that did. So let's go back and see. Yeah, I like a little bit of dehaze. I think that helped a little bit. Okay. And again, I'm going to actually raise this up just slightly. 1 1/4 stops. Okay. Now, we need to have it brighter back here, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is another trick. I'm just going to right click this image and duplicate, make a, create a virtual copy. So let's create a virtual copy, and I'm going to make an exposure just for that in there. So I'm going to raise this up I'm going to raise it up to 2 1/4 stop over what it was exposed at. So I've got that. So I'm going to click a 1 here, I'm going to click a 1, which is a star. So I'm going to designate that I want to bring in this photo. This is the other ambient shot. And here is the flash shot. Okay, so now on the flash shot, we've got some issues here. And I really want to say that you could use a lot more flash power. That's my thing. I really want everybody to really get, here's the settings. It's 1/80th of a second. And I know she was exposing for out the window or the view, which is great. No problem with this exposure, the exposing for 1/80th, but I would have certainly bumped up my exposure, which would be putting in more flash here. I don't think you really need the flash out here because we'll be using this exposure, the ambient exposure, to get that in there. Okay, but now here's a serious issue, but we can take care of it because we have the ambient exposure, the brighter ambient exposure. The ceiling will mask out these ceiling fan shadow. But what I was going to say again is I think you're pointing your flash forward and it is bouncing off the ceiling, and it's called, if I'm not incorrect, it's called the angle of incidence. And what it is if the angle of the light comes up at an angle, bounces off, it'll bounce off the ceiling at an angle. So if you bounce your light straight up, you are going to eliminate this flash shadow. And I recommend to everybody, practice playing with your flash. Move it up, move it down, move it back, move it forward, tilt it back, put it more powerful, less powerful, and see what you can do to get the results that you want, because that's the best way to do it. You can even practice it at home. Now, I'm pretty sure that she is using an N flash, which is a nice photo flash, and that's 680 watt seconds. So she certainly did not have enough power. So I think she could have increased the power in this room. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in, first I'm going to go, as I always do, I'm going to do my full bump, okay? And that actually full bump really helped the view out the back. It's still dark, So what I want to do is I want to bring up the exposure. Let's start with one stop. And one stop is good, but I'm going to go even touch more, and I've got a stop and a half. So that to me looks about right. Again, it's looking a little bright in the histogram, but you know what? I have a lot of faith in my monitor here. Okay, so we've got a great exposure for here, and we're going to now use the ambient shot. We've got actually a good exposure. Let's now compare the two. Let's see now. We've got pretty good exposure out here. It's a little bright, but I think it's going to mask in well with the flash shot. And then we have our third shot, which is here. We're going to mask it in for here. We may use some of it for the ceiling because the ceiling in the flash shot really needs a lot of help. But you're going to see how easy it is to fix. So I'm going to use all three of these images. I'm just going to right click, edit in Photoshop as layers. Okay? And we're going to wait for that to happen. It's going to take a little bit longer because we have three images. Okay, so again, I'm saying that you can send me, and if this gets too many photos, I'm not going to be able to do it, but I'm going to try to get to some photos every week. Send me 3 photos. One would be the flash. All I need is one flash shot, straight out of camera, raw. One ambient shot, straight out of camera, raw. And you can do a window shot if you have one. And that would be Darken Mode, or just send it to me and we can play with it. Now send it to rich@richbaum.com at Dropbox. So you've got to Dropbox it to me. I can't take them in emails. Anyway, so this is coming in now, and we've got everything going on. Okay, so the first layer on top is my flash layer. And if you follow me, I'm going to put my flash layer at the bottom. Now I'm going to take this layer, is the ambient layer that I want to start with, and I'm going to put that second. And then this layer is for this back in here, and maybe for the ceiling. So what I want to do first is I've aligned all my layers. I've got, this is the third layer I'm going to use, which would also be the window layer. I always put that third and on top, but I'm going to hide it in a second. First, I'm going to align the layers. So I'm going to bring down my cursor to the bottom, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and it will highlight all 3. Okay, if you hold down Shift, it highlights from one end to the other. So if I had 20 layers, I just put it on the first layer and the last layer and hold down Shift. It will highlight everything. If I want to do each layer separately, I would just put down the Command key and hit them individually so I can pick. Okay, so I'm going to highlight again all of the layers. I'm going to go into Edit, and I'm going to go down into Align, Auto Align Layers. There we go. And I'm going to do Auto Align. So again, I don't do Auto Align a lot because I don't really have movement in my tripod and camera. That's why I use the heaviest tripod on earth made, but it's what I love, and it's absolutely wouldn't have it any other way. And you can see here how it has a little bit of the white border here, so it did need aligning. And down here, so this photo's needed a lot of aligning, and if you didn't align them, you can't mask them in together because it's going to make a ghosting if you only use a percentage. So now I'm going to start by clicking on my ambient layer here, and I could have named these layers, but I don't really need to. So now I'm going to turn off that last layer I'm going to use. I am highlighting the ambient layer, and I am going down here and I'm clicking Option and Add a Layer Mask. Okay, so let's do the first thing that is bugging the heck out of me. Let's just take out this ceiling shadow. Okay, so I'm on Paint again, 6%, Soft Brush, hardness 21%, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on X to make it white for painting. So let's make our paintbrush big, nice and big right here. Let's just deal with this. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. Okay, so that is pretty cool. Okay, got a little bit of yellow, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's fine. Now, what I want to do here is I want to bring up the exposure back in here. So I'm just going to go make my paintbrush a little bit smaller. There we go. I'm going to paint this in here. And I'm going to paint this in here. You see, I make my paintbrush the size of the area that I want to paint in, and that way I can do it all ambient. Now I may use some of that third layer, which is overexposed, but we'll see. But the point was, I'm using different parts of different images. So we can either shoot it, actually the best way to do it is shoot the image at different exposure, and then you can mask it in from separate images. Or we can just mask in, I made a duplicate copy, as you saw, and I'm masking it in. Okay, so getting that in there. Good. Okay, now let's bring in a little more ambient in here. Here, here, right in here. Okay, now, she didn't want me, she likes this to be very light and flashy. My problem with it is, and it's just my opinion, is the logical light coming in is from the window. And this looks like it's lit from camera. So it's not really having the logical shadows. And what I'm going to do for myself is just bring in a little bit of shadow. There we go. Not much. Just taking it out, getting a little less flashy. Okay, now I'm just going to paint in ambient. A little bit here, a little bit there. Okay. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to now go and I'm going to highlight the third layer. Click it and add a layer mask here. Okay, so I'm going to add the brightness here. And I'm going to actually add it all to this wall. I can actually take away from it if I choose. Yeah, it's too bright here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to hit X and erase it from here. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go and put X again, and I'm going to paint. You see it goes from black to white. I can't tell you that enough times because it works great. I'm just going to paint in a little more exposure here. Okay, and maybe a little bit of exposure here. Okay, okie dokie. A little more, a little brighter here. Okay, now one thing I want to do is come in here and I'm going to go back to my original ambient layer and I'm going to go X for black and I'm going to raise this up to 50% opacity, and the reason I'm doing that is I want to bring back a little bit of this image. There we go. It's just a little bit, but make it a little nicer. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to go X here again and paint in. I erased it in that last pass, so I'm just going to go back here. Nope, I don't like that. I like it better. You know what? I'm going to go back to 6%. I hope you're following me. I'm just going to go back and paint in a little more ambient into here. There we go. And in here. Okay, there you have it. I'm pretty happy with this. Actually, I could bring it. Let's go back to this brighter ambient layer, and I'm just going to make this overall a little bit brighter here. Okay. There we go. And that's a judgment call right there. That's a little bit bright, but anyway, I could go on and on and on about this. But you see the shadow right here is a little bit heavy, but I'll be honest with you, we really didn't have much room to play because we had to get rid of this shadow right here. So we have to mask in ambient 100%. So we're left with the shadow. This is actually a natural shadow. Let me make this a little smaller so you can see it. This is the natural shadow from the light hitting this ledge and bouncing up here. So I'm very happy with it. The shot is a little bit high. Another shot that would be really great with a tilt shift, but I think she did a great job with it. And let's go click S and W, Command SW, bring it back, and let's see. She actually edited it, and I think her editing job is really great. And I think all her photos are great, actually. And oops, Facebook, don't go there. Okay, I want to go Lightroom. Now I'm going to go her edited image. Now, this is her edited image. She actually did a sky replacement in here. I don't think it's necessary, and I actually don't really like it. But it's cool. If you want to use it, it's really great, and I'm happy for you. A little bit flashy here, and I think she spent a little more time. I'd be curious to see what she says. But for me, here is my edited image. And you know what? I could actually increase the exposure a little bit. There we go. And her shot, I'll give her credit. Actually, I'm going to go down here and do auto align. Oops, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the final bump. And I'm going to do auto align. And I'm going to see how we like it compared to hers. Okay, so let's go. This is her shot, my shot. Her shot's a little pumpier, a little brighter. I think that personally this is a little flashy to me, but you know what? I'm not going to say much about it. I think it's pretty good. I think this is a little, you know what? This view is showing just a view of your neighbor's yard with laundry and with a warehouse, and I don't think you need to emphasize it. I could even see you blowing it out a little bit. But I think it's important to see. What do we see here? I mean, gosh, look at that. I don't know if I really want to show that so much. So something to think about. Here is a nice exposure in here. So she did a great job. I could have lit it a little bit, or I could have masked in a little better light there. So anyway, so we have my shot and her shot. Okay, let's go to the third shot. One, it's going to be a bathroom. We have an ambient shot, and let me make sure that it's reset. Yep, it's reset. And let's go, oh no, here's reset. Let's go to, that's right out of camera. We've got ISO again, ISO 100, which I think you could absolutely bump it up if you wanted, but you know, a little bathroom like this, you don't really need to. F9, you could do F9. I don't think it's necessary, but it's okay. And I think that this is a little bit dark in my opinion for what I would use. Let's go to the flash shot. I'm going to go here and reset it to straight out of camera. We're looking at this, and this is pretty dark to me. I think we're going to find out how much we would light it up. Now, the reason I said she's using an end flash is I can see it in the reflection here, but that's no problem because we're not going to use that part of it. The window here is really nice, so I would say the exposure at 1/25th of a second, f9 100 ISO is good. I would say though that the room right now, let's start by going my full bump. And you don't have to use the full bump. It's not necessary. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. I use it, and it's just me. So now I'm going to bring this up one stop, and let's see how that looks. I'm going to go now 1.5, and that looks about right. So I'd say I would increase the exposure by a stop and a half, so I would have just pumped more light. And you can see what she's doing. It looks like this end flash is pointing backwards, and it's bouncing off a back wall, so it's coming at you forward. So I would say that might be causing some of your issues. Now I want to say one thing about nice flash or end flash. It's very difficult to get an end flash on a stand to point straight up. So you have to do a modification, but whatever you're doing, I would say to make a modification with another arm or something that you can angle the end flash straight up. That was a big issue I had with end flash. The little grip will not go straight up. So anyway, so I got great exposure here, which I like. And I like the shot. Actually, most of this you could just use right out of the box. Little bit flashy here, and we've got these issues in here. But what I'm going to do here is go to the ambient shot, and I'm going to first click on, let me click on something white here. Let's try this white here. And it's making a little orange. I'm going to go back. I'm going to click it on this wall back here. And actually, I like that, and I'm going to increase the exposure to match the ambient shot. Oh, oops, sorry, wrong way. To match the ambient shot, because right here I'm looking to match it right here. So let's see what we got. Oops, backwards again. I think this is actually going to mask in well. Look at from right where my cursor is. It's a little bit darker and this is a little lighter, but I think it will mask in well. Okay, so we've got this. Let's just lose some of the highlights, just a little bit, and let's give in a little bit of dehaze. I'm not sure I'm going to stay with this dehaze trend, but I think I like it. So let's go with the flash and ambient. You can see these are pretty close. I like them. I like them. Okay, so let's highlight both of those images, and let's right click and edit them in layers in Photoshop. I think it's a really good composition, really good photo. I'd say it shows enough of what you need to see. It's 17 millimeters, so it's I'm sure this is shot with a full frame, so I'm pretty sure. Anyway, looks good. So let's bring these in, and again, let's put this is why I always shoot the ambient shot first, because when it comes in from Lightroom into Photoshop, the ambient, oh actually she did shoot the ambient first. See, the ambient's on top. If you shot the flash shot first, the flash would come in on top. So you're just saving yourself one step. Okay, let's just highlight both of these. Go in here, edit, auto align layers. Okay, let's auto align them, because we know from past experience that these are probably out of alignment slightly. Very important to align. So you can see it right here. Again, this is out of alignment here. So let's just highlight the top layer, which is the ambient. Let's go make a layer mask and go here. Okay, so let's basically, not much we're going to do here. Let's keep our same setting, 6%. Let's just go here, make our brush about this big, and go here. Paint out. There we go. Nifty, huh? And look how nice it matches. So really, really important, if you leave with any information today, it's try and massage or adjust your ambient to match your flash, or vice versa. Okay, let's get rid of this one right here. There we go. Little different color, so I just enlarge it there. Okay. Now let's get rid of some of this shine right there on the right. Now, one other thing I want to do is, it's a little bit harsh shadow under there. So what I want to do is just bring in a little bit of ambient up here. Okay, and again, because I like that much better. Because I'm freehanding it, I'm going to go X and paint back the window. I think I overlapped on the window. And let's go into here. One other thing, you don't really need to take the time here, but we could lose the shine in the, oops, I got to go back into paint. I always forget that. Oh, actually, it's making the tub look better overall. Let's go into here. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. Oh, one other little flash issue we have right down here. So just masking in ambient is a great way to deal with our imperfections of shadows. Let's go in here too. Oh, I like that actually. You can play around, mask in, and then if you don't like it, I'm now going to hit X and erase it from here. If you don't like it, don't use it. But it's super easy, and here we got a little bit of shine there, but hell, let me see. I'm going to go back to white and paint. I'm just going to go here. Okay, and the only other area that's kind of bugging me is right here. And I'm going to look back to my flash shot and see. See, that's, I don't know where that's coming from, but it's coming from somewhere. I think it's coming from this way. I don't know. But let's look at our ambient shot now. Whoops. No, we can't. Let's just, you know what? Let's try and paint in a little more ambient here. There we go. Oh, it took care of it. Great. Okay. And let's blend that in really nicely. There we go. Little shadow there. Oops. Make it a little bright, a little bit ambient. But you know what? Sometimes for ceilings and walls, ambient is better than flash if you don't have a lot of color issues. So now let's just go back. I'm going to go exit out, and I'm going to just erase a little bit of this ambient right up here. So you just go back and forth and get the medium you like, and there we go. I like it. I like it. So let's go save, and S and W, Command S and W, saving it back into Lightroom. There we go. And remember, if you have not picked on your library mode, let me show you a little trick. If your photos are coming in from Photoshop way in the back and not going where they belong, that's because you are on previous import. When you've just imported your photos, put it on all photographs and they will go back into where you wanted it to be. So let's see here. This is the final shot. So I'm going to do my final bump. Let's look at what it does. Oh, I did the final bump already. Oh, no, I didn't. You know, wait a second. Yes, I did. I must have. I apologize. Getting a little crazy here. So anyway, I think that this looks really good now. I'll make it a little brighter for her because she said her agents like it bright. I could do an auto align, I think. Let's see how that looks. Auto align. Oh, I like it better. You know what though? I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit Command Z and I'm going to do not auto align. I'm just going to do a manual alignment for my vertical. Nope, I'm going to go auto align. You know what? No, because auto align will lose all of that, and I like that right in there. So I like that little bit of extra room in there. So now I'm just going to hit, I've moved it +3, and I'm just going to do a little bit of barrel distortion you see there. So I'm going to like +5 and +3. And then I'm going to hit constrain crop, and there we go. Oh, you know what? The alignment was off on the left. Dang. So I'm going to go back. This is something I should probably have edited, aligned in Photoshop. I'm going to just try and angle it a little bit. You know, that's fine. So I guess never mind. Anyway, there you go. Okay, I'm just spacing out for a minute. So there it is. Rich Baum editing 3 photos for you. And again, this offer's open for a limited time until we figure out if it's a good feature or not. Just send me 3 raw, unedited photos, 2 or 3. 1 ambient, your best ambient, what you think is appropriate from what you've learned here. The flash shot, and if you've got a window shot, we'll do that too. So this is Rich Baum with Rich Baum Photography saying, hey, by the way, please hit subscribe it would really be nice for you to subscribe. And also, I'm putting links into my videos that if you buy something at Adorama, click on my link and use that, and it will help me out because I do these videos for free. Anyway, that might change in the future, but for right now, it's free education, and I think that's pretty good no matter how you look at it. So, hey, thank you very much. Have a great day.